I want people to just reflect for a second about motherhood, and what that really means. And that leads the question to you, Roger, because you are a mom. And there's no bones about it. When you do your show, the whole family is involved. You're not the only one I've seen do that. Sister Soldier, when you book her, you're bringing the whole family, kids, husband, the whole nine. And that's important. And I've seen a number of other artists who have been like, I'm a mother. And I want to see if you could talk about the tone that it sets. For example, the fact that you're doing a show, and most of the shows you've done, you know you're going to have your son there, your partner there, the whole nine, means that we can bring our own kids, because the space is going to be safe. And I think a lot of times we talk about hip-hop, we forget, we don't associate motherhood with hip-hop these days. And maybe you can speak to that, the importance of that, and how that leads to maybe building larger communities and even strengthening. You just had a little, earlier said, did your own song about it. So maybe both of y'all can build on that.
Hi, that's a really good question you're asking right here. Well, I didn't really plan to have my whole family rocking with me, to be honest. You know, I started rhyming when I was 13 years old and had my son when I was 16. Came here not knowing any English. I knew about hip hop because when I was in Mexico, there was something about that certain artists that I used to listen to that just caught my attention. And you know, one thing I can remember is that really hip hop gave me a voice that I wouldn't really find if it wasn't for that. I found my way to express myself. When my dad passed away, that was my first song that I wrote to him. So I came over here, had my son, and you know, he just really got involved in music. His dad is a producer, he's a musician as well, he's an MC. And there's this really funny moment that I don't think I'll ever forget. His dad was in the closet. We used to live in this really small space. And my son came out of bed like midnight, and he knocked at the closet and he's like, Dad, what are you doing? He was producing in a computer, and then he's like, I want to learn. So he sit on his lap, and he was only 4 years old. After that, my son hasn't stopped making music. He creates my own production. He's my drummer. He's my DJ sometimes, and he has his own projects going on. And you know, it's just something to me that just makes it feel so powerful. Just having my family with me, it just makes it, I mean, I don't know if it wouldn't feel as strong, but I know that it's something strong, and the strong energy that is on stage that I bring, you know, it comes from the people who I'm sharing with on stage. I feel like there's there's several MCs out there who has kids, and you know, it's something that you have as a mom that you give to your kids, and not necessarily in music, but I'm just talking about hip-hop culture in general. Would you have the mentality or not giving up, or not letting anyone to give up on your dreams? Just because you don't have money doesn't mean you can't make it, you know? So that kind of mentality, or not giving up mentality, is what I encourage my son to have, and that's the way he's been trying to do his best. And you know, I'm just really excited to, every time I hit the stage with him, it's something special to me. Yeah.
Maybe you can hit that as well, Jimbo. And again, I want to maybe pass this along to everybody, because oftentimes when you hear people talk about hip-hop, a lot of times they say, it saved my life, this is my family, my crew, this whole thing about building community. Now, I think for people who just follow it commercially, it's hard to see that, because it's all about individualism. And it's not about your family, it's about how much money can you make for Sony or Def Jam or Universal and all that. You know, those backstories are erased. But when you talked about this cultural aesthetic, it's a family. And you know, from my own experience, I know when I travel the world, you know, you touch down, it's like, oh, they're the hip hop folks there. And you feel like there's this connection. But I wanted to center it around motherhood, because I think there's a different energy. There's a lot of dudes that bring their kids to a set, but it's a different type of, like, you know, y'all gonna be the next pimps and the next gangsters, or the, you know, it's not the same as when you bring your family on stage. There's a big difference, you know, there's a big difference, at least what I've seen, and I wanted to focus on that aspect of family and community building, because if you're not present, it just goes in I feel it goes in a different direction. So.
I think it's very important. We can talk about this right now, because you know, not only in hip hop, but in general in the world, mothers who want to be successful women are forced to not be with the family, are forced to have two different lives, you know. If I have to work, then I have to have a nanny to help me, or my mother is going to help me. That happens a lot in Latin America, okay? If you're a grandma, you take care of the children, okay? And I'm part of a community in Mexico of women who are saying no to that. We can be mothers at the same time as we work. Definitely, yes. We don't have to stay at home. This is part of this machismo thing, you know? It's like, but in a nice way, you know? Oh, you're a mommy. You have to take care of your girl, you know? Yes, I'm a mommy. I take care of my girl, but I can go on tour. So I went on tour when my little girl was 6 months. I went to France like for 2 months, and I was breastfeeding, and it was okay. You know, I could do it. I see indigenous people in Mexico who carry their children in clavosas, you know, on their backs, and they're working and they're breastfeeding and they do it fine. So I think we need to redefine this this woman at work, you know, concept, because it is not opposite to being a mother. And a great example is Raji, for example. And I mean many other women, but we don't see them, right? Like all these women in Latin America, they don't see them. We don't see them because they're indigenous and all that kind of stuff, but they do it. So I think this role of this like businesswoman can also be a mother, and that's a way of a change, of important change that we have to do. Like that's what we were talking about last time in the interview. I think that we all, not only girls, like women and men, need to take out this feminine side of us to the world, you know, because we've been always functioning in this male point of view of things, you know. And I'm not saying being a man is bad, but man is like denying its feminine part, and working women is denying its feminine part too. So I think we need to change that. So it's great to be here and to share this with you.
Like, it seems like there should be a responsibility for hip-hop, because if you all are talking about that hip-hop is something that redefines and, you know, and sets new tones, then maybe the way that we start to engage family and all that, maybe that's what needs to come front.
Yeah, like I never thought of it, but now that you say that, it's like, wow, like that's the cool, yeah.
Can anybody on this side speak to the issue of family and community?
I also, yes, and Jimbo, I totally agree, and I actually think that mothering and motherhood and music and creation are parallel. You know, the qualities that you need to be a mother and to nurture and to create and to commit is the same qualities you need to be a musician or to be an artisan or whatever it is your dream or your goal is. It's all a form of creation. And I also believe that musical and visual creation is the return of the goddess, and I believe that it's the part of your brain that you use that's nurturing, and then that's feminine aspect that we all have and we all hold. And just like a mother teaches their child, we have the opportunity to teach every time we touch the microphone, every time we touch a paintbrush, every time we come up with a dance or play a beat. So they're really relatable, and you know, we are mothers of this. This is a motherhood, this is a family, and we're holding that space, and we're aunties and we're uncles, and I just think there's a lot of opportunity there and parallels.
Anybody else want to hit that? Building of community and all that?
I guess the only thing I would say right quick, we are celebrating 10 years this year as Black American. And thank you so much. And there's no way that could have happened if it wasn't for community. Now, I'm not a mother, and but I do know what it means, you know, when they say it takes a village to raise a child, because this work that we do has been a child, and it's a 10-year-old child, you know, and it has been the community across the nation, has been the community here in Oakland that has supported this work, and it wouldn't have been possible. It's, I mean, absolutely impossible. As entrepreneurs, we are our own bosses. We don't have agents. We do our own graphic design. We do our own web design. You know, we do our own promotion. It's all word of mouth. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. Straight up. Like, there's nothing even like romantic about it. Like, I ain't even trying to be nice. You know, it's just being really real, you know. And so that's where I truly find the essence of community. And I want to take this opportunity to thank y'all for real. Like, really thank y'all, you know.
I think, you know, there's something important important that you said there. Oftentimes, when we get into the commercial realm, and this is not just with hip hop, it's about sell, 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 and it's a one-sided conversation. So if I have, an ideology, if I have goods and services, I'm just trying to figure out what's going to be your emotional touch point, and then I just sell. I don't care about your feedback, except that you're just going to buy more stuff. But what you're talking about, it seems like that this is a give and take. Like, there is no climbing poetry without this audience, and you don't really get to see the best of them unless there is that sort of exchange, and that seems to be like a redefining of, I mean, it seems very natural, but in today's society where it's broadcast one side only, we don't have that as much, where you come out and you sincerely are acknowledging that if it's not for the folks that put you up in homes and, and get you those gigs and what have you, that, the success isn't as good, and maybe and it's enriching because it seems like you're exchanging with folks more than just getting monetary stuff as well. My last question, I want to maybe get a couple. Do you have something to add? Go ahead. A little something.
Yeah, I appreciate you affirming that. And I also just want to add that I feel like there's an exchange that happens in the production of the art, because I feel very influenced by the journeys we've made over the past decade, getting to intersect with so many different communities, like over 70 cities across this nation, and revisiting. It's like we're also, the experience that we're having, seeing different environments, connecting with different people, hearing different stories, that gives us the fodder and the fuel for the work that we do and the words that we speak and give back.